Ian, I believe we are live.
Awesome. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me. Really
Good
means a
to
lot.
have, yep, good to have you with us. And we have in the stream already, we have Todd Fowler, Nick Mamunis, and my friend Tom, who goes by the YouTube handle of Hungry Jerk. So I'm thinking of this, that we're going to keep this thing maybe a little shorter than normal. I don't know, 40-ish, 45 minutes. But the whole purpose of this tonight was, well, someone is celebrating a birthday. The lovely Ms. Tina Louise, who is the sole surviving castaway at this point from Gilligan's Island.
Right. Yeah. Lovely lady. I mean, quite honestly. And I didn't. Who knew that she'd be the one to survive out of everybody? Of course, it's not a betting game or anything like that. But
Right.
you just kind of when you look back and you think, oh wow, well, the one
Yeah.
that lived. I wouldn't have thought it would have been her. Quite honestly,
Me
I
neither.
didn't think
I'm
so.
with you. I'm with you on that. It's a bit of a surprise to me, but glad that she's still with us. So I put together a quick video. It's not a long one about Tina Louise, and I thought maybe we could start with that, and then we'll handle some topics. Some of them Gilligan's Island related, and others, well, not so much. And before I jump into the video, I got to say hi to Cindy D, who just jumped into the stream with us. If you're in the stream, please make sure that, or if you're watching the live stream, please make sure you join the chat and say hello. And this is the time to wish Tina Louise a happy birthday. Any birthday greetings, I'll make sure that we put up on the screen here. But with that said, let me go ahead and pull up this video. Tina Louise. I'm going to move it over to the other screen so everybody can see it. And we'll go full screen too for a minute. Tina Louise is the last surviving cast member from one of my favorite television shows, Gilligan's Island. So, Tina Louise is an American actress best known for playing movie star Ginger Grant on the CBS television situation comedy Gilligan's Island. You can find that all out on Wikipedia. What you don't know is that she actually did quite a few different things prior to Gilligan's Island, and of course found work after Gilligan's Island as well. But of course, we all know her and love her for her work as Ginger Grant. So some of the things that she was in prior to Gilligan's Island, she was in a show called God's Little Acre, and she actually received a Golden Globe nomination for her role in that movie. Now, I haven't seen that flick, but apparently she was very good in it, and she followed that up with a number of other movies. 1959, it looks like, was just a big year for her. She was in a movie called The Trap, The Hangman, Day of the Outlaw, The Warrior Empress, and then after Gilligan's Island, she was in The Wrecking Crew, How to Commit Marriage, The Good Guys and the Bad Guys, The Happy Ending, The Stepford Wives, a number of different film roles. And in television, she was very, very busy prior to Gilligan's Island, guest starring in shows from Studio One, The Phil Silvers Showcase, The New Breed, Checkmate, Burke's Law. And then after Gilligan's Island, she had guest starring roles in shows like Bonanza, It Takes a Thief, Ironside, Mannix, Kojak, Kung Fu, Marcus Welby, MD. And then, of course, she made a couple of stops on, well, one of my favorite shows, The Love Boat, and then Fantasy Island as well. And she also showed up in a couple of episodes of Chips. So those folks that say, well, what did she do after Gilligan's Island? Well, they just weren't watching, because she stayed very, very busy all the way up until about 1999, the turn of the century. And since then, Tina has been keeping a pretty low profile. Every once in a while, I'll see an article or a quote by her, something, typically around the time when one of her cast members from Gilligan's Island has passed away. Most recently, we saw comments from Tina about Don Wells passing. But she also was very gracious and made some nice comments about Bob Denver when he passed, as well as Russell Johnson. If you think about it, the entire cast of Gilligan's Island was just, it's a very special cast. And there, of course, there were rumors during the making of Gilligan's Island, and when she didn't choose to return for the reunion movies, that maybe she didn't get along as well with some of the cast members. But the reality is that it's just quite possible that she treated the role of Ginger Grand as exactly what it was, which was a job, and she did a phenomenal job when you think about that. To me, there was none finer in that role, and of course, other actresses stepped into the role for the reunion movies. But really, there's only one Tina Louise, and there's only one Ginger Grand, and they are one and the same. So anyway, Tina turns 87 on February 11th, and I want to wish her the happiest of birthdays. There we go. All right. We'll get
All
this
right.
on here. Yeah. So holy cow. I saw a comment in here who mentioned that someone who said that they didn't know she had been in that much. And I've got to admit that I didn't either until I started doing a little bit of research.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know half of that stuff for either. I mean, I basically knew her from Gilligan's Island, and I knew she had done a couple things before Gilligan's Island, and I didn't know anything about after Gilligan's Island, quite honestly. But I mean, I was one of those, Dave. I was one of those weird guys who actually preferred her. I know that not anything wrong with Marianne. I think she gave the girl next door vibe, and I think that's kind of what ranks her higher in the the controversial who's hotter poll. But I was one of those weird guys who voted for her. She edged out slightly ahead. I just the voluptuousness, the movie starness, the hippiness of her. I just thought I was just drawn to her, especially as a young kid.
Drawn to the glamour, and there's nothing wrong with being in the Ginger camp instead of the Marianne camp, for sure. I think, you know what? For me, it all depends on the day. And on Tina Louise's birthday, for heaven's sakes, I'll join you.
Okay, all right.
So
let's see. I like that what you said, though. I like what you said about it depends on the day, because there are times where I flip-flop as well.
Yeah, totally. There's another debate sci-fi geeks have, which is on the Buck Rogers TV series, whether Wilma or Princess Ardala, and it totally depends on the day. Totally depends on, or the episode. We've got Viva J in the house. Hello there, Viva J. And Scott Barnes, my friend who is often sitting in the co-anchor seat here, is with us. And Scott, of course, you have the details. If you want to join us, you are more than welcome to. I promise to keep this one a little bit shorter than normal. We've got my friend Justin Eilert, who goes by the YouTube handle Braidwood Inn, with us as well. And let's see who else is here. That may be it for the minute. Let's see. So let's go look at some of these comments. Oh, wait, we've got Paul here who wishes Tina a very happy birthday, or in this case, Ginger a very happy birthday. And I like this. Braidwood Inn talks about the another debate that's out there, the Janet versus Chrissy debate.
Yeah.
So
that one highly depends on the day for me. If you mind me chiming in there, that really depends on the day for me. I like both of them. That would be a difficult one for me to choose between Janet and Chrissy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Although I think I'd probably end of the day pick Janet more often, again, because I more often fall into the Marianne camp. So, hey, let's see. Todd Fowler pointed out that she was in the first season of Dallas and that JR killed her. Not being a big Dallas fan, I didn't know that, but that's more information about Tina Louise. It just turns out that she was all over the place. Nick Momonis points out that she was with Fred Grandy in an episode of Love American Style. She was constantly finding work. My friend Scott says thanks for the invitation, but he's occupied doing other things, which I totally get, Scott. Always happy to have you, but always happy to have you in the chat as well. So, hey, Ian, it's thank you for joining me this evening. And while we're visiting and celebrating Tina's birthday, 87. That's a huge one. I thought we'd talk a little bit about your channel. Let me pull that up real quick here. And we'll
Okay.
share it on the screen. I think it's up right now. As a matter of fact, Retro Serial, currently going with 89 subscribers strong. Wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it not be cool if we got you closer to 100 by the end of the night?
That would be amazing. I'd certainly be grateful and happy about that. The point of YouTube for me is to provide good content first of all, and to be consistent. And I just think that the fans will come, and fans will come with help from friends too.
Absolutely.
And I'm so grateful to you. I reached out to you, and you said, "Yeah, I'll be on your show," and then you invited me on this show, and it's just awesome. So I think it's about everybody helping everybody out. We're not dealing in a level like, oh, if you have more than I have less field anymore. You can have as much as you want, and I can have as much as I want. We're not dealing with that anymore. With that,
Yeah.
like if you have 10 subscribers, you're taking 10 subscribers away from somebody else. It's not like TV. Like if they're watching channel 2, they can't be watching channel 4. You know what I mean? We're not dealing with that
Exactly.
anymore. So the more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned.
You are absolutely correct. And the reason that I've was so eager to visit with you first on one of your videos, and then later on having you jump on some of these live streams, Ian, is that we have some similarities. You're a little bit younger than me. You're more Steve's age, my brother Steve's age. And by
Yeah,
the way, I loved that interview with Steve. It was so
that's a lot
much
of
fun.
fun.
Yeah, so much fun. I see him all the time. We work for the same company. So prior to the pandemic, I saw him every day in the office. And that's for 20 plus years we've worked together. But you brought some things that you asked me, is he not normally very forthcoming? And he is. He's he's a great, open feller, but sometimes you just don't talk about stuff. And you kind of being that person that's you're not part of the family, or things that we don't say anymore because we just think everybody knows and everybody remembers.
Right.
Asking those questions, it was phenomenal to listen to Steve talk. And let me see, how is that video doing? I'm going to look at that video on your channel right now.
Your video and his video are I think my two highest, and they were both great conversations. I had yours is I have 1.5 with you, and I said that before because the first time I was just learning how to do this, and so it was really like a half a conversation. So I had you back on to talk about the rest of it, and I'm looking to have you back on again, to this time talking about music. I'd like to hear what you have to say about music. We talked about TV last time, and your brother and I, it was hard to choose a topic because we were all over the board. We talked, and I had to choose the one that I think we talked the most about, and that was the arcade life of a Gen Xer.
I loved hearing it. He tells me, though, by the way, that I think in the comment section I said that I bought the Asteroids arcade machine.
Yeah.
He swears up and down that he bought it. So it's weird. The older you get, the less you remember things. It's like, and we're having this debate as to who actually bought that. But yeah,
Did you have the machine? Did you have the machine? The actual machine?
We bought a console from an arcade.
Oh wow! Well, you were popular.
Yeah. Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, we were at that point. I was in my, I'd say, early 20s. So he was more popular. No, it's nobody was coming over to my house to play Asteroids other than a couple of really close friends, right?
Right.
But yeah, it looks like the video's doing well. So let me ask you this. I'm looking at let me sort it by most recent. What of all of these videos, and you've got a bunch out here now. Holy cow. Let's say the last 10, which has been, and you can't count Sunstrom conversations, which one has been your favorite, and which one should I listen to next when I pull up a podcast to listen to?
It's interesting because I really have two irons in the fire with the one channel. One thing I have going on with the channel is the longer form podcast where either I just ramble about something or I have a guest on. And then the other is kind of shorter top fives or top threes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the channel really is about growing up Generation X, and so I
Yeah.
can cover everything from music to television to movies to even a more serious topic. So like one of the last ones I did, the longer form, was with a friend of mine, Dr. Brian McDonald, about couples therapy. Like, because we grew up in an era where everybody was getting divorced, and so
Yeah.
I reached out to him. We talked about couples therapy. So I talk about serious issues just as long as it's to some degree Gen X related. um, Top five diet trends, that was fun. Top five Nirvana albums, that was fun. If you grew up in the 80s,
I gotta ask you
you're
that top 5 diet trends video. Did it show up beforehand and then disappear? Because I could have swore like 2.5 weeks ago I started listening to it and fell asleep. I listen to stuff as I go to sleep, and I'm not saying your stuff puts me to sleep, but I just listen to stuff when I go to sleep. And I could have swore I listened to that probably like 3 weeks ago, but it says it's 1 week old, so maybe it was
I
someone else.
so I have, and that's part of the two irons in the fire. So I had one where I talked more in depth about it on the
Right here.
podcast, but then I had the other one that's just right above where you're looking right now, and
Yeah,
it was a top five. So the
got
top
it.
five is just a little bit more condensed, a little bit more
Yes,
YouTube friendly, where the longer form is really more explore it more deeply, sometimes by myself, sometimes with a guest.
got
Um,
it.
but they're both of them. I mean, both of them are about diet trends, which is kind of funny because I was on diets on and off in the 80s and the 90s, and
Still on and off, my friend. All right, so let me pull this down for a second. We'll go back to Tina. But yeah, folks, if you haven't checked out Ian's Retro Serial channel, and he has a companion game channel as well, that game boards, all sorts of things. That's fun to watch as well. But we've got some birthday greetings. Hey, while I take a sip, Ian, would you read that one for me?
yes, it says, hello, I want to wish to Tina Louise a safe and happy 87th birthday. Terrell, by Terrell, and I'm going to butcher, I've already butchered your name, but Terrell Bellinger. So
I don't
thank you,
think.
Terrell, for
Yeah, yeah.
writing that in.
Terrell's a great guy. He on a daily basis will send me a tweet and suggest uh, different topics, and I've got at this point it's pages and pages of suggestions. And whenever I'm just kind of feeling like uninspired and not really knowing where to go, I go back to one of his suggestions, and they're always good. I think he looks. I've seen his picture on Twitter, and he looks a little younger than me, but he seems to be kind of I'd say that our generations, not boomer, definitely not boomer, but maybe a Gen Xer, Ian.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Cool.
look at this. Look at this. Todd Fowler says, proud subscriber of Retro
Thank you,
Series.
Todd. Thank you. Really appreciate it. It really does mean the world to me when people subscribe. I mean, it does. People think like, oh, well, I'm just like looking at this and these numbers going up or down or something, but it's really personal. It's just like, whoa, wow. It's like when you create a piece of art and and somebody says something nice about it, it's just like it's meaningful. It's more meaningful than people might think.
Absolutely. Looks like Tom's going to check out your channel, and Nick Mamonis is going to check it out as well. That's awesome, folks. Please do.
Thank
My
you.
friend Danny Staten. Have you ever visited Danny Staten's channel, Ian?
Oh yeah, yeah. I watch regularly. I can't say
This
I've watched everything, but I watch regularly for sure.
guy, I don't watch everything. I mean, he he covers two of my favorite topics, which are comic books and Bigfoot. Uh, and I pick and choose, but I do find myself watching the comic book reviews more than I do the Bigfoot reviews.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm just worried about him. If I watch too many of those Bigfoot things that you could get a little dicey. It gets a little bit scary. Some of them are dark, and you never know where he's willing to go to try to track down Sasquatch. But yeah, good stuff. So greetings from Utah in both cases, northern and southern Utah, Danny.
Yes, Danny, greetings. I love your stuff, Danny, by the way. It's a lot of fun. I always get worried about you. You're going to run into Bigfoot one of these days. Who knows if he's going to be friend or foe? You don't know.
You
Stay
never
safe.
know. Yeah, it depends on your Bigfoot that you run into. If it's like the $6 million man Bigfoot, where he's somewhat bionic and a friend, or could it be, like something from what was it, The Legend of Boggy Creek? That one was, that you do not want to mess with that one.
I don't remember that one. I definitely remember the $6 million man, one of my favorite ones. Those things are great to go back and watch again. Scared the heck out of me when I was a kid, though. Scared the living dazzles out of me.
Me too. So my friend Justin Eilert, who goes by Braidwood Inn, has talks about Suzanne Summers a little bit. Had a crush on her in Step by Step. Mine was just a little bit earlier. I'm thinking I'm a little older than you, so it was in Three's Company. But I liked her in Step by Step. That was really just the Brady Bunch done over again. Let's see. Did you ever watch Step by Step, Ian? A part of the TGF5?
I never watched it. I've never seen it. I haven't, like, there was 8 Simple Rules as well and shows like that that kind of came out, and I wasn't really watching TV at that time. I think I was kind of a young adult and kind of trying to make a career and kind of things during that time.
I hear you. How about She's the Sheriff? Did you ever catch Suzanne Summers in that?
Not by name. I don't remember that show.
Yeah, that was post Three's Company. I think it ran for 2 or 3 seasons. It was in syndication. I don't believe it was ever a network show, and some of the channel subscribers can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I remember it was on syndication. It was a 30-minute comedy, and she was the sheriff, right? And
it's ringing a bell. It's ringing a bell. Huh.
Tom says it wasn't great. It was bad. Saw an episode or 2. I thought it was just okay, right? It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was average, and unfortunately, that's not good. Danny Staten says, thanks, Dave. Had a lizard man sighting this week. Big week in South Carolina. Be sure to tell people Danny Staten, aka the Daily Damn Blog. Yeah, we'll definitely. We both are subscribers, Ian and myself, and encourage folks to check your stuff out because you are definitely a fan of the good stuff as well. And Nick Mamonis is pointing out that She's the Sheriff wasn't horrible, and I agree. It was an okay show. Go ahead, Ian.
I was going to say comic books. If you like comic books, I have a friend here in town who is the owner of a comic book store, and we had 2 great interviews. We talked about how comic book stores changed over the years, going from the hole in the wall to kind of the cool geek kind of thing. And then we also talked about how comics changed over the years, and it was really super informative. I love comic books. I wasn't a huge comic book fan, but being into superhero movies and stuff like that, you're gonna run up against that.
Absolutely. I was one of those guys that bought probably 10 different titles every month for probably 10 to 15 years, and they're all boxed up and in the Mylar sleeves, and I'm saving it for that day when they actually do have some value. But I remember when they were the old holes in the wall, and they were a fun place to hang out at. You'd just go and you'd hang out and talk to the owners, and I remember there was one in Sugar House, which is right out a suburb off of Salt Lake City. And I would go there in the mornings. I'd grab some comics. I love this little fast food joint that was down the street. So I'd go there, grab some food, come back. Sometimes.
What was the name of it? The fast food place?
Millie's.
Okay.
Millie's was the name of the place. And they would sell cheeseburgers in lots of threes. There are lots of threes. So you'd have to buy the cheeseburger They were, kind of like McDonald's sized cheeseburgers, and you'd buy 3 of them,
Okay.
and very, very tasty.
Did
It's
you
still
ever?
there, still there.
Oh, it is. I'll have to
Yeah.
go. When I go up there, I'll have to hit it up. Did you ever go to Johanna's Kitchen?
Oh yeah, yeah, tasty.
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
man, so
yeah,
good.
yep. Oh wait, here Terrell's saying he's a millennial. I thought you might be. I wasn't sure. I could tell from your picture that you were quite a bit younger than me. So Anton Miles, welcome. Who else haven't I welcome? I'm gonna quickly scroll through here. O3 is in the live stream as well. Welcome. Great to have you with us as we celebrate Tina Louise's birthday. And speaking of celebration, let's go over to Twitter real quick here, if I could. Let's bring over the Twitter feed. And quickly, we'll get Terrell off the screen again. We've got BK on the air. Have you ever listened to BK on the air?
I haven't.
He's a friend of Pat. As a matter of fact, Pat McCormick, who does the Golden Radio Television, he has a little piece on this guy's Saturday morning show. And this guy will post his Saturday morning show, which is all about retro TV, on YouTube, usually Sunday afternoonish. So
I will definitely look him up for sure.
Yeah, check him out. Good stuff. Silver Age TV is another group that or another Twitter channel that I follow. Well, that's probably not the right way to say it, but let's see what else we got. We got Show Tunes wishing Tina Louise a happy birthday. 104.5 WJJK, and I remember that episode of Gilligan's Island very, very well. The honeybees, that's what they were called. The honeybees. Let's see. That might be it. Oh, wait, here's an updated picture of Tina Louise and holding what looks to be like a giant Polaroid kind of cutout. Born February 11th, 1934 in New York City. I think she is still a Big Apple resident. Brian Shields said, I loved Gilligan's Island when I was a kid. I met Tina Louise at the Museum of Modern Art. She was so nice. She took a picture with me and signed a museum booklet. How cool is that? And yeah, she just is the epitome, to your point, Ian. She is the epitome of glamour, right?
Right.
Let's see. Anything else? ME Music. Tina Louise. Over 40 films, such as her first, 1958's God's Little Acre, Last Surviving Member. Yeah, I did see that she released an album as well. It's Time for Tina. I've got to track that down. I'm trying to collect rare LPs, and so that would be a fun one to have in the collection.
That would be. I got to look that one up myself. I just heard today something that I didn't know for a long time, but apparently Burt Ward put out an album.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware of a single. I didn't know there was a full album. So
okay, maybe it was just a single. It was produced by Frank Zappa.
Yes, and it's something about being the boy wonder or something like that. It's been a long time. I think I heard it. Did you ever listen to Dr. Demento?
I did. I did listen to Dr. Demento back in the day.
That's where I may have heard that song. Let's see. We've got Danny saying that William Shatner is turning 90 next month. Well, I can't wait to see the special comic book review, Danny.
It's going to be interesting.
Yes, indeed. And Tyrell says, do you know that Tina and Louise Belcher from Bob's Burgers are both named after Tina Louise? Well, I should have figured. The same way that Sheldon and Leonard are, of course, from Big Bang Theory, are named after Sheldon Leonard, and Cameron and Mitchell from Modern Family named after Cameron Mitchell. That makes total sense, but I got to say, I never put 2 and 2 together on any of those.
Wait, tell me that again. Sheldon and Leonard from Big Bang are named after whom?
Sheldon Leonard, who was a producer / show creator of a lot of different shows in the 60s.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Speaking of Dr. Demento, John Page, welcome. Good to have you with us. John says Fish Heads, one of my favorite songs from Dr. Demento, and it's by a band called Barnes and Barnes, And one member of Barnes and Barnes is a guy named Bill Mummy. And I don't know if you, I guarantee you've all seen Bill Mummy in something. He plays Will Robinson in Lost in Space, the original Lost in Space. And Todd Fowler points out that Mrs. Howell, Lovey Howell, was the hottest of all the honeybees. There you go. To each their own.
Right.
Speaking of Natalie Schaefer, who was Mrs. Howell, one of the things that I discovered while I was putting together my final video on Dawn Wells, and maybe it's not my final one, but the one that I did right after she passed away. I'd actually been working on it beforehand, didn't know that was going to happen. And so when she did pass away, I kind of changed it around and did it as a remembrance of her. But the cool thing about Dawn Wells, I found out, was she cared for Natalie Schaefer during her final months and would visit. I'm not sure if Natalie was living with her or she was driving to Natalie's home every day, but she was literally providing hospice for her colleague,
Wow,
coworker in Gilligan's Island. And incredible story. It says a lot about Dawn. She got a bad rap. She got arrested for selling pot at one point. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Pot to Bob Denver, who needed medicinal marijuana for some actual health issues he was having. So again, kind of trying to take care of others.
Yeah.
We will argue the merits of she went about it the right way, but she was trying to take care of others. So, that's why on some days I'm in the Marianne camp instead of the Tina Louise camp.
Oh yeah, for sure. When I say Tina Louise wins out, it really is just by a nose. I mean, it's really just barely edged out. They're both beautiful. But far as like my taste is concerned, she falls more in line with my taste.
Yes, awesome. So how about, like I said, I'm going to keep this one short, so probably another 15 minutes or so. Ian, how about we play a little trivia, a little Gilligan's Island trivia in honor of Ginger Grant.
I'm ready to shame myself in front of everybody.
Okay. All right, 10 questions. I don't think they're too hard, so there may not be any shaming. We'll see. Let me go ahead and pull them up and get them over on the screen. All right. Gilligan's Island. Ian, we are ready to roll. Folks.
Okay.
Play along with us. Tell us how you're doing in the chat as we go along. Like I said, there's 10 questions. I don't think they're too hard. A few of them have to do with the birthday girl herself, Tina Louise. So let's go and move on to question number 1, which is, what is Gilligan's first name? Is it Bobby, Gilligan, Maynard, or Willie? And just hold on, Ian. Don't say anything yet. Let's let folks kind of think through it for a second or two. I'm going to take a nice sip of this Diet Coke. The problem with making these trivia games is I can't play them anymore. I love playing them along with everyone else. But, what do you think?
Oh man, I have no idea. I mean, this is just a stab in the dark. But is Gilligan his first name, and then he had a different last name or something like that? I don't know. That would be my guess.
That's your guess. I always thought Gilligan was his first name.
Yeah.
Right. I always thought that but Sherwood Schwartz, the creator of Gilligan's Island, says that that's his last name, and his name was actually Willie Gilligan.
Willie Gilligan. Wow.
There you go.
Now I'll know for the rest of my life, but
yeah, now you know. Now you know. And Justin saying this is tough. Can't say I watched the show that much. Well, they may be a little bit tough if you did not watch the show at all. And John's already played this. Let me go over here. John's already played this. I actually have a new channel that I've started called Top TV and Movie Trivia. And this is out there already in a kind of an automated video form. And it looks like John knocked it out of the park when he played it on the channel itself. So, and Tom says common knowledge. I can tell you it wasn't always common knowledge for me.
Oh.
But Tom's kind of a bit of an expert. I've found that out over time. Let's see. Question number 2. 2 out of 10. What is the name of the skipper's boat? I should have put boat. Ship sounds wrong.
Well, I gotta know this one.
Dolphin, the SS Minnie, the SS Minnow, the SS Sardine. All right, while we're waiting, we'll wait a minute. Todd Fowler's 1 of 1. Terrell's 1 of 1. Cindy D's 1 for 1. And Anton already played on the other channel. Paul is 1 of 1. And we're starting to get some answers in. So, Ian, do you want to throw your answer out there?
Oh, yeah. It's the SS Minnow.
Correct. Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay, let's move on to question number 3. Who was not stranded on the island? The doctor, the millionaire, the movie star, or the professor? Which one of those characters was not stranded on the island? All right, let's see. Justin says that they should have taken Ben Gardner's boat. It was a bit bigger. Do you know? I don't know who Ben Gardner is. I probably should, but I don't know that reference. So, Justin, you're going to have to help us out there, my friend.
Yeah.
You're going to have to help us out. All right, starting to get answers in the chat. So, Ian, do you want to throw a guess or an answer out there?
Well, I know what the answer is, but it's a little bit of a trick question because there was a professor, but did he have a PhD? Because if he had a PhD, then there was a doctor, just not a medical doctor. So
yeah, no trickery here. Just think of it on its face value.
Okay, there was no doctor on the island.
That is correct. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. That's some deep second level, third level thinking there. All right. Before we get to question number 4, folks, you want to put in your results in the chat. I would love to see how you're doing. And Danny Staten says that Steve-O, my brother, has a new video about the guy from The Office. Really cool video. I will tell you that Steve gave me a preview of that a couple of days ago before it actually hit YouTube. We were visiting via Zoom, and he shared that one with me, and I agree. Very cool, and it's a topic that I would never cover on my channel. Although I was a huge Office fan, it was, I think we're talking about the title was, why did Steve Carell leave The Office? And I don't think he left that show until like 2007. It's not that long ago when The Office was playing and he left, and well, the show was never the same.
No.
All right, we got.
And when I rewatched The Office, I unfortunately, I know maybe upset a lot of people. I've watched it all the way through twice, and I've watched it all the way up till Stephen Carell leaves about 3 or 4 times. So I just, after he leaves, it's just not interesting to me anymore, unfortunately.
You need that character, right? And they had Spader in there, and they had Will Ferrell in there subbing, right? But it just, you needed Michael Scott. It just is a critical piece of the puzzle. All right. Lots of folks are 3 for 3. So I clearly, I'm not making this tough enough, people. Okay, who played the skipper? Was it Alan Held Jr., Forrest Whitaker, Larry Storch, or William Conrad? Here's an interesting question. This is bonus question from Todd Fowler, who says, who was the minnow named after?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. That would be on, like, if I were to do like a graduate level Gilligan's Island.
Well, isn't a minnow is a fish, isn't it?
Yeah, but is there, I'm wondering if there's more to that than I mean, is there a backstory? Todd, you've asked the question, you've thrown it out there. Now you are responsible to give us an answer in the chat. All right, do you have an answer for this one, Ian?
Well, look, I know it's not William Conrad, and I know it's not Forrest Whitaker. So I'm caught between Alan Hale Jr. and I don't. For me, Alan Hale Jr. doesn't sound right, so I could totally be wrong. So I'm going to go with Larry Storch.
Correct answer is Alan
Ah,
Hale Jr. Forrest Whitaker and Larry Storch played together in F Troop, and then they were also together in the Saturday Morning Ghostbusters show.
oh, okay.
And Forrest Whitaker actually took on the role of the skipper. If you ever saw, there was a Western version of Gilligan's Island called Dusty's Trail, and it was almost identical. I swear they just reused some of the scripts, everything, but it was about a lost wagon train.
Oh.
And Forrest Whitaker took on the skipper role. He was the trail boss, and Bob Denver was Dusty, the bumbling Gilligan-like character on the show.
Well, I know that the actor really he really liked being the skipper, and he would wear a skipper's hat
Yes,
around town.
he did. He loved being the skipper, took great pride in it. So I still don't know who or what Newton Minnow is. You got to help us out here. You got to help us. Give us more. Give us more, Todd. And Scott Barnes, my good friend, says Alan Hale Jr. He did a lot of Westerns. One of my favorite was Hang 'em High. Yeah, great. Sherwood Schwartz hates Newton Minnow. Man, this mystery is just getting. I'm still kind of stuck on this one. Anton Miles, by the way, says, I always thought it was interesting how the show's opening credits were filmed the day after the JFK killing. And the reason we know that is that the flag on where the boat's taking off from the harbor, the flag is at half mast.
Wow.
Yep. And that was the explanation. Let's see. Let's see. I'm losing track of this conversation. So we are going to pop off of that real quick and go to the next question. So lots of folks are 4 for 4. Nick Mamonis is 3 of 4. I believe my friend Ian is 2 of 4 right now.
2 of 4.
Let's shoot for over 500. I think it's doable. I really think it's doable.
Okay.
Which actor did not return for the reunion movies? Alan Hale Jr., Don Wells, Jim Backus, or Tina Louise? And Tom, you told me before. I remember a conversation we had about Alan Hale, but you've cut off there, so I need to be refreshed on that story there, Tom. And answers are starting to come in through the chat. Do you want to give us your best guess, Ian?
Yeah, it's Tina Louise. It's kind of weird when I know it, like I know it, and unfortunately, I mean, you never begrudge an actor for taking the role, but I just wish she would have come back. I wish she would have. I really wish she would have come back. She kind of tried to distance herself, as I recall, from that role and the show. But oh well, we got other actresses who filled the role in, but none of them were Tina Louise.
Correct. 6 different actresses played the character over the course of the reunion movies as well as the animated shows. There was a Return to Gilligan's Island animated show and a Gilligan's Island in Space.
Gilligan's Planet.
Gilligan's Planet, that's right. Don Wells played both voices on Gilligan's Planet, but someone else did the voice of Ginger and Gilligan's Island, the animated one. Tom is kind of busting my chops here. He says that I need to get all of that information later from Landrum C, which, by the way, another great YouTube channel. I don't know if you ever watch any of his stuff. Landrum C goes there. So I will. But then he says, Dave, you should know this. Tom, you should know this about me. I have the worst memory in the world. Seriously. In one ear and out the next. It's amazing. I can remember things from way back, things that are critical and important to my life. But the older I get, the harder it is to retain recent conversations, those type of things. They just get lost a little bit. So I probably should know it, but I don't. All right. So let's see. Oh, here he is, though. He's going to tell me. Alan Hell was his dad's beer buddy in the early 80s. I remember that. That's way cool. I do remember that conversation. Okay, and Danny Staten, we've got to point. He says that the chick who filled in Rescue from Gilligan's Island, the movie, wasn't that bad. She definitely was not, and that chick's name is Judith Baldwin. And oh wait, here we go. Todd Fowler is telling us that Newton Minow was the FCC guy who said that TV was a vast wasteland. That's awesome. That is awesome trivia to know. All right, you guys are the best. This is what I love about this stuff. Okay. All right, so what are you, Ian? I see a lot of folks is either 4 for 5, 5 for 5. I think you're 3 for 5, right?
I got 3, so that's good.
Team Louise is the correct answer. Going to question 6. How long was that ill-fated boat ride supposed to last?
Oh.
1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours. We will just wait a second while we get folks to kind of think through and lock in their answers. Ian, what say you, my friend?
3 hours. We know that from the opening. Say, you heard that every day. 3-hour tour.
Although on
tour.
The pilot episode, there's a different song, and it's a different number of hours, like 6 or 8 hours or something like that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
There's extra points if you know the last verse of Gilligan's Island, the closing verse.
Oh, the one on the when they're doing the credits at the.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know it by heart. I can sing the opening one by heart, but I don't know. Yeah. Do you know that one by heart? Have you got that one memorized?
I think so. Sit back, folks. I'm not going to sing this well, although I do sing, but I'm not going to sing it well. Sit back, folks. Each week, my friends, you're sure to get a smile from 7 stranded castaways on another episode of Gilligan's Island, something like that. Another episode
here
of
Gilligan's Island. That, yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. Something. Yeah, so I didn't even get my own points.
Yeah, very close. And you, I think, gave away a trivia question, so I know you're going to get another one right here in just a minute.
Oh no,
that's awesome. That's awesome. That's okay. They're not listening. No one's. Maybe they are. Here it is. Yes. How many castaways were stranded on the island? That's right. Todd Fowler pointing it out. He's right in the chat. How many? 7 stranded castaways here on Gilligan's Island. And then Tom wants to know what millionaire would actually ride on that barge. I don't know, but I mean, trying to make sense of some of the elements of that show, it just doesn't work. Like the professor had a limitless source of batteries. He could get certain things to work, but he could never really get get other things that were critical for them to be rescued to work. It was, you just have to kind of suspend your imagination when you're watching that show. So, Ian, that puts you at what? What are you now? Are you
4?
So we've done 7. Did you miss 2 or 3?
I missed 3, and I think I'm at 4.
Okay, so you're 4 of 7.
I'm still a D student.
Yes. And here's the answer why Thurston was on the barge. He was a cheapskate. And he was actually, if you watch the show, that is very true.
I like the one where they were going to get off the island, but they all had gold, and they all filled their suitcases with gold.
The boat. All right. So, did they ever get rescued? Honestly, Justin doesn't know. Yeah, man. Scott Barnes points out there was a TV movie called Rescue from Gilligan's Island. That's the episode, or not an episode. That's the movie where Tina Louise did not return. The birthday girl wanted to work on other television and movie projects, and so Judith Baldwin took in her stead. Scott Barnes is 6 of 7. Todd Fowler, 7 of 7. Marcus Y, I don't know if I've welcomed you, 7 of 7. Paul, 7 of 7. Cindy D, 7 for 7. We got a lot of folks that are rolling at the 100% mark with this one. Question number 8. Let's see if this is any tougher. I should have made these things tougher. This one is tougher. Which state does Marianne call home? Things to think about, things to ponder. Where would Marianne, gal like Marianne, come from?
Killing me.
I know. I knew this one was going to be a tougher one.
But I know two of them are not. I know what two of them are not. I'm stuck between two. So always
which ones are they not?
Nevada and Texas.
Yeah. Although Dawn Wells was Miss Nevada.
Deservingly so.
Yes. So you're down to Iowa and Kansas. So you've recognized that she's a Midwestern girl.
Yeah.
Which one do you think it is? Where do they make those coconut cream pies so delightfully?
Let me just say Kansas.
Let's see if you guessed correctly, Ian. You did.
Yay, as a guess, a 50% chance.
Oh, Tyrell, yeah, it's okay. I would rather you have dinner with your family. Anytime, folks, you have to choose between playing trivia with Dave Sundstrom or having a delightful dinner with your family. Please pick your family. Spend time with your family. That's precious time. So good choice, my friend. All right. So that puts you at 5 of 8, I think. Are we?
I think that was my goal, at least to get 5.
And I think this next one you're going to get right too. So maybe 5 of 9, 6 of 9. I think you're 6 of 9 actually, because this is number 10. I think. Let's see. Oh no, this is number 9. So you're 6 of 9. Here we go. Which answer is not correct? Bob Denver equals Gilligan, Don Wells equals Marianne, Jim Backus equals the professor, and Tina Louise equals Ginger. I might have made this too easy.
That one's a little too. We've been talking about this over and over again. So go by process of elimination.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So you want to announce the correct answer?
Yeah, Bob Denver is not Gilligan. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. Jim Backus is not the professor.
Right. He is Thurston Howell III, or as I really came to know and love him, Mr. Magoo.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You can't be 10 for 10, Cindy. We got one more question. I know that you're feeling confident about this last one, but you cannot be 10 for 10 yet. All right. Let's see, though. Viva J says Bacchus. Lots of folks got this one correct. Okay. Last question. 10 of 10. This is the one where you're going to be, so you are now, you're 6 of 9. You've missed 3. You could be 7 of 10. That's a darn respectable score. I don't care what it says. So let's find out. What was Mrs. Howell's first name? Harriet Howell, Lovey Howell, Mercy Howell, or Trudy Howell? And Terrell, you say you're 2 of 9. Just 2 of however many you were here for. You can't be 2 of 9. You were eating dinner. All right, Ian, are you 7 of 10, my friend?
I hope so. Look, so it's almost like it's like Mercy is trying to throw Lovey off. So I don't know for sure. I mean, I don't know this one. I'm just taking a guess. I kind of think that Lovey and Mercy are kind of weird. Harriet and Trudy are normal names. Lovey is not a normal name. Mercy is not a normal name. And so either those might be there to throw the other ones off or whatever. Maybe I'm putting way more thought into this than you did when you wrote the questions. But I vaguely remember Mr. Howell calling her Lovey. And I don't know if it was just an affectionate name or what, but I think it was Lovey.
I always thought it was like a term of endearment, right? But it turns
Uh-huh.
out that is her actual Lovey Howell.
Okay. All right.
7 of 10. Let's see final scores. Let's see. We got Cindy is now officially 10 for 10. Well done. Viva J was 8 of 10. Scott Barnes, 9 of 10. Todd Fowler, 10 of 10. Paul is 10 of 10. Lots of folks really rocking it tonight with the Gilligan's Island trivia. And let's see, Nick Mamonis was 10 of 10. Tyrell was 3 of. I'm going to say 3 of 3. Yeah, I can't imagine you missing any. Danny State, 9 of 10. Hungry Jerk, 10 of 10. I made them too easy for you, Tom. I'm sorry. Too darn easy. Anyone else going to post there? Oh, Justin was 4 of 10. It's just before your time. Don't feel badly. I think it was a little bit before Ian's time, too. It was on television a ton for us kids that were like 8 and 9 in the early 70s. Later on, I think there were other things that were on in the afternoons besides Gilligan's Island that probably took a fair share.
It was on a ton, when I was a kid. It just was in reruns and syndication. But I watched it. I mean, it was great. It was one of those, as I recall, maybe it was one of those that, if you stayed home sick, you watched it. But yeah, I loved the show. We could talk about all kinds of episodes. I just don't remember these fine details about actors and stuff, unfortunately. But I loved the show. I loved the antics, the professor, how he's always making things work but couldn't get off the island, kind of thing. Or it was great. It was great entertainment. I loved it.
Absolutely. Great cast. And that's one of the things that made the show so special. If you think about those great situation comedies and television shows in general, right? It's really when you have a great cast, there's the chemistry there, everything's working. And that certainly was the case for Gilligan's Island, and certainly the case for Tina Louise, who turns 87 today. And the reason we gathered today was to wish her a happy birthday. 87. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. Ian,
right, for sure. Yes.
One last pitch for your channel. Let's talk about your channel just a little bit more. Let's get folks over there and get them subscribed.
Yeah, it's Retro Serial. The link, I think you're providing the link for me on your page. I really appreciate that. It's about nostalgia, growing up Generation X. It's not just what came out Generation X. We talk about all kinds of things. If you grew up and you watched the Beverly Hillbillies during Generation X, as I did, I talk about that kind of stuff too. Music, movie, TV. If people would subscribe, it would totally mean a lot to me. And then pick one of your favorite videos and share it on your favorite social media, just to kind of let other people know as well. And then I have an adjacent channel called Board Game Addict, where I talk about board games and stuff like that. That's kind of a little bit lesser of a priority. I mean, it's a priority for me for that game, but as far as like what we're talking about here, but they're still both great channels. So thank you for everything for helping, and anybody who subscribes, it really means the world to me.
Yeah, you bet. And you're right. Board games are a little bit different, but I would argue that there's still the good stuff in that. You think back to the board games that we used to play when we were kids and stuff, and those are just super fond memories.
Yeah.
At least the ones I have. Memories of time spent with family. Sometimes it was friendly time. Other times we almost came to fisticuffs, but still good memories.
Well, if you or your brother, or if we're ever in the same town close, I've got the $6 Million Man board game, the original, the one that was produced back in the 70s. It's so easy to play. We're going to get that out, and we're going to play that, and we are going to talk about TV.
That's going to happen. Steve and I are going to road trip. We're going to road trip, hang out, and play $6 Million Man at your place one of these days. We'll make it happen, Ian.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right, folks. So that's it. I said 30, 40 minutes, and look at this, an hour. An hour. I apparently cannot live stream without going a full hour. Let me just say to Ian, first off, thank you for joining. It was a pleasure to have you with me tonight on the live stream, and to everyone
Thank you.
that joined tonight and contributed and participated in the conversation in the chat. Thank you very much. Thank you for continuing to visit my main channel, Dave Sundstrom, and for continuing to be engaged watching the videos where I talk about music, movies, and mostly television from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, the good stuff. So thanks again to folks, and have a great night, and happy birthday, Tina Louise.
Happy birthday.